It's Taylor Tuesdays, and that means only one thing. It's Sons of Anarchy. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment for your Sons of Anarchy review. This is Season 1, Episode 8, The Pool. And I actually enjoyed this episode. It pulled in a lot of different directions. We had main characters, we had supporting characters, we had reoccurring characters, we had new characters, we had character deaths. There was a lot of shit going on in this episode. But before we get to the review part, it is time for the free facts. And I felt like there could be so many facts about this episode because, like I said, a lot of shit went down, but I tried to pick the three most important facts, the three most things I think stood out. Fact number one, the debut of Cameron Hayes. So Cameron Hayes, another member of the true IRA, he's in Charming now to take over business with the Sons. Why is he in Charming to take over business? We'll find out when we get to fact number 3, but he plays a pretty big character. He's a pretty important role for Season 1, Season 2, and probably Season 3 as well. So, yeah, the debut of Cameron Hayes, I think, is a pretty big deal. Fact number 2, we get the death of Agent Combe, but maybe more importantly, this is the first person that Jax murders. Now, up to Season 1, Episode 8, you could argue Jax might have killed a few people. Even on the show, you could argue he's killed a few people, but this was the first person that Jax kind of cold-blooded murdered. Like, literally went up, pulled the trigger and shot him in the head. So yeah, not only was it the death of Agent Cone, but it was Jax committing murder, and I think from this point onwards it kind of changes Jax Taylor a little bit. And moving on to fact number 3, we have the death of Michael McKeevy. Now, in terms of the timeline, I think it's fair to say Michael McKeevy's probably died a few episodes early, but we're not being told about it now until Cameron Hayes comes on the scene and he tells the club about how his cousin was killed, beaten up, had his neck broken by the man at the port, who we will learn a bit more as this season goes on. But yeah, Michael McKeevy is now dead, but in terms of, like, in timeline wise, he probably died, I would say maybe episode 4, episode 5, but we finally find out that he's dead when it comes to episode 8, The Pool. So that's it, guys. That is your 3 facts about Season 1, Episode 8, titled The Pool. So let's now get on to the review. So we kick off the episode with Darby at his home. He receives an envelope in his mailbox. This is from Josh Cohen. Now, we don't know at the time whether Darby knows this, but I don't think that's really irrelevant. He opens it up and it's a file on SAMCRO, basically about all their dealings with the true IRA, information on the guns, information on what's going to happen, where it's going to take place, all that kind of stuff. So this then prompts Darby into setting up a meet with the Mayans King, Marcus Alvarez. They have a sit down outside of town. Darby offers him the IRA gun connection if the Mayans kill Clay. So this would kind of work out good for both of them, I guess. The Nords would be able to gain a foothold in Charming, and the Mayans would be able to take over the gun-running business. But Alvarez seems a bit hesitant at first. He doesn't think it's worth it. But then Darby starts, like, just running him down. He says, what part of it doesn't go into your brown little bean? So, I mean, Darby is kind of just being straight up racist here to Marcus Alvarez. But Darby ends up ensuring Alvarez that basically law enforcement won't give a shit. They won't want to investigate. If he kills Clay, law enforcement will look at that as a thumbs up. So in the end, Darby walks off. Alvarez kind of, I would say reluctantly, he agrees, but he doesn't exactly have the same plan as Darby, because then Alvarez tells his son Essie that they're going to kill Clay as well as Darby. So there you go, Darby walks away, but he walks away not knowing that he's in fact a dead man in the eyes of the Mayans. We then cut back to the clubhouse. SAMCRO are discussing how they're going to get the rest of their money. They've got all their money together, but they still need $70,000. I think it was Clay. Clay comes up with the idea they could use Luann Delaney, that's Otto's old lady. She has like a porn business, porn website, and she makes a lot of money from that. So their idea is to go and try and get the money off her, but they task Gemma to do that because Gemma and Luann are close friends, and I guess it would come better from Gemma than it would any members of the club. So then we cut to the hospital where Gemma has told Luann to meet her. Gemma then says, can she front the club 55,000 or 70,000 if she needs. Luann's like, oh, I don't know if I can get that. Luann then talks about how she's earned her money and that she doesn't really have to give it to the club. She spoke about how she fucking had to take 2 up the arse every single day in order to get where she is. Gemma then says, yep, she never said she didn't earn it, but she reminds her that it was Otto that fronted her the money in the first place so she could get the business started, and it is time that she, repaid Otto back and therefore repaid the club back. So Luann agrees to this but says she wants 20%. Gemma isn't really impressed by this, tells her to rethink her 20%. Luann chokes on it a little bit, then decides 5%, and that's it then. So they're getting 55, but they still need 15 grand. So how's the club going to get it? We then see Jax. He comes across like this truck that's crashed. One of the drivers kind of like went right through the windshield and he's got impaled on the window. So long story short, Jax helps the guy up. He works for Oswald Trucking as well, so he's like, I don't know, transporting all the oil for Oswald. Jax and Opie visit him in the hospital. They know the guy, and apparently he's been buying drugs. So he's been buying drugs off the Nords, but not in Charmin. And to pay his debt, because he never paid, the Nords stole his full tank of gas. So therefore, he thinks he's going to get sacked. And Jax then comes into this bright idea. There's like a light bulb in Jax's head that just sparks, and he thinks, well, you know what, we can actually get that truck and we can get that 15 grand. But there was like a moment where the club were discussing how they were going to act on this. Tig straight away thought that it was Darby that was dealing in Charmin, but the injured truck driver bought the stuff outside of Charmin. Tig kind of straight away wanted to start war with the Mayans and with Darby, but Jax was like, nah, we need to play this one smart. So you could see there was like small signs of Jax and Tig beginning to clash here, and you could there was tensions between the two. You could definitely see the tensions between the two. Also, Jax noted at the sit down with the club that his son gets out the toaster today, so that's a pretty big moment in the show that Abel finally gets to leave the hospital. We then see Halfsack. He spots an ambulance. He tells Juice he'll be back in a bit. He runs to the ambulance. Juice is like, no, he isn't. He jumps in, it speeds off, and then Juice is like, oh shit, he did. So Halfsack has stole the ambulance. He then brings it back to the club, who think they can sell it, but basically all the club members kind of like just rip the piss out of them because they're like, who are we going to sell it to? It's all like state agents and federal governments that have these these ambulances. Like, we can't just like sell this thing. We can't just rock up to a hospital and sell it for 15 grand. So yeah, I mean, Halfsack, he tried hard, but in the end it looks like him stealing this ambulance. It's kind of going to be in vain. Then Jax goes to the hospital to visit Abel. Gemma's there. They both kind of apologise. Jax tells Gemma just to let the whole Tara thing go, that it was a long time ago, and that Gemma says that she hurt Jax. Jax says, he got over it, but Gemma tells Jax that you never got over someone hurting your baby. So maybe Gemma's got a reason to dislike Tara, who knows. We then see Clay and Tig. They set off for the meet then with Michael McKeevy. They arrive at the local Irish bar, but instead of meeting Michael McKeevy, they meet Cameron Hayes, who's making his debut in this episode. And why are they meeting Cameron Hayes? That's because his cousin McKeevy is dead. He basically got beat up, had his neck snapped at the port by the Port Authority boss, Brennan Hefner. And yeah, so that's his cousin dead. Clay, Tig, they kind of offer him assistance if he wants payback, but Cameron Hayes says, nah, this is family, this is personal, and that he is going to get his payback by himself. He then goes to count the money. Everything looks good, so it looks like the deal is going great. They ask him how the cause is going. Cameron Hayes says that they will never get a united Ireland without violence, which I guess is maybe true, who knows. Although, what happened to democracy, mate? Maybe you could try voting once in a while. But I don't think Cameron Hayes wants to vote. But what he wasn't counting on was a couple of Mayans busted into the bar. They start shooting. Tig covers Clay, gets him on the ground. The guy behind the bar pulls out a big shotgun, shoots one of the Mayans. Cameron Hayes gets shot in the ass before Tig takes out the other Mayan. And while this is happening, we also see Mayans attack Darby's house. They shoot up the people inside Darby's house. There was like another Nord and 2 chicks, and they both die, but Darby manages to hide behind the wall. They get the file on the guns, and then Darby obviously knows that he's been betrayed at this moment by the Mayans. But Darby, lucky to escape death here while the Mayans flee. Although one of the Mayans, in fairness, does look at the body and they're like, I don't think that's him. So the Mayans have obviously, the Mayan who did the shooting obviously realised that the guy they shot was not the guy they needed to shoot, who is Darby. Tig then looks at one of the bodies, rolls up a sleeve, he spots Mayan ink, then spits on the body. Classic Tig. But yeah, they figure out it was the Mayans. The rest of the club get there, and then an argument breaks out. Tig kind of tells Jax that he warned him about this ages ago, but Jax didn't really want to know. Jax then asks Tig for some alone time with his stepdad Clay. Jax asks Clay if he's worried that he isn't here about the club. He's not committed to the club. Jax says he risked his life today to get 15 grand for the gas. Clay says he knows he's committed, but he doesn't know if he's fully committed to the club, and then there's a bit of an argument between Jax and Clay. So I think Clay thinks that Jax's head's all over the place with his son, and that Jax not 100% in the game. Earlier in the episode though, we did have Jax when he stole the Oswald's gas. He took it to Unser and basically gave it to Unser for cheap, and he's selling him all this like illegal stolen gas, and Unser's like, damn it Jax, can you at least pretend I'm a cop? So I thought that was a funny interaction when Jackson was selling the stolen diesel, the stolen gas to Unser. We then get, it's a kind of funny, Cameron Hayes then gets chucked into the stolen ambulance that Halfstack stole, and they take him back to the clubhouse where they're working on him. You've got Chibs trying to pull slugs out the guy's arse cheeks, or the back of his leg, his arse, whatever. I thought it was kind of funny that he's asking him, how long did you do? And he's like, I did 5 months. So, I mean, Cameron Hayes basically has some crazy Scots guy, you know, pulling slugs at his arse. And he's only had like 5 months at training. Another thing is, it's kind of interesting how Chibs was in the IRA and the army. We're going to cover this in a separate video, but that doesn't really seem to make sense. Clay is then pissed off. He tells Happy that he tells Juice that he wants all the presidents and vice presidents from Washington, Utah and Nevada down in Charming tomorrow, and they're going to put in a bid to wipe out the Mayans. So Clay's calling in the reinforcements here. He tells Juice to make sure they're there tomorrow. Gemma's worried about Clay. He says he's alright, he didn't get shot, but he tells Gemma that he wants her to make sure there's some food for the sons when the sons come in tomorrow. So looks like Gemma's going to be busy tonight making sandwiches, basically. Back to the kitchen where Gemma belongs. Then later in the night we go to Tara's house. Jax is there to pick up more medical supplies for Cameron Hayes' bullet holes, and he tells Tara if she's alright. Jax kind of tells Tara that she's not the same person she was, and that she's changed, and that she maybe shouldn't be around him, it's not a good idea. But then Tara looks at Jax and she says, you've changed too. That she said that the man, she's seen a man today when he held his son up and all this. So, I mean, this like dialogue, this conversation would maybe suggest that there is some hope, there is a future for Jax and Tara. Jax then gets on his bike to leave, but before Tara can do anything, she's attacked by Agent Cohn, who basically tackles her, covers her mouth, pushes a pillow over her face to muffle her screams as Jax drives off. And then this was weird. I mean, Agent Cohn is asking Tara for 5 minutes. He just needs 5 minutes to explain himself, 5 minutes for a chance to start over. He's apologising for his behaviour. Cohn tells Tara that Jax and her can never happen, and that all that matters is the two of them are together. He asks Tara for a change. He says he needs a change to build the foundation their relationship needs. Cohn then says that he wants Tara to tell him like what went wrong, spill everything out on the table. And it's obvious Tara doesn't want to be with this guy. This guy is like a crazy psycho, but he doesn't see that. Tara's petrified here. She says that sometimes he can be scary. He's like too fucking just too on it, you know, too focused, too controlling. Cohen says that, yep, sometimes his energy can be very big and that he's an intense guy, but he tells her that he wasn't used to being loved so deeply, and that's why he like clung on to Tara so much. And then he talks about the abortion. Tara apparently had an abortion at 6 weeks, and Cohen's angry here. He says, you never asked me, you never asked how I felt about aborting our baby. Tara replies, it wasn't a baby. Then Cohen just goes over and like slaps her. Now, look, I'm not going to get political here. I mean, people can talk about whether they're pro-abortion or anti-abortion here. But Tara says at 6 weeks it wasn't a baby, and I mean, is she really wrong there? I mean, Agent Cohen, maybe he's pro-life and Tara's, you know, like pro-abortion, pro-choice. I don't know, but I mean, 6 weeks is very early. Has a baby even formed at 6 weeks? I mean, I don't think she's wrong in saying that. Now, I'm not saying I agree with abortions, but I do think Agent Cohen here is getting a bit annoyed about. I mean, at the end of the day, it was 6 weeks. It's not. I don't know, to me 6 weeks ain't a long time, so, but Agent Cohen, he's pissed off that Tara basically killed his child in his opinion. He immediately, then he like kind of froze her onto the bed, and what came next was kind of weird. Like, I'm by no means part of the Me Too movement. I know that movement has been taken like way out of control, and like even if a guy looks at a chick, they will claim it's sexual assault, but this did seem kind of weird in my opinion. Like, Agent Cohen, he seemed like he was pretty much just like forcing himself on Tara, but before he can really do anything, Tara kind of like, you know, convinces him to no, let me be in charge, please don't like hurt me. She was kind of like, I don't know, role playing. She says, I want to be loved gently, so this kind of made Agent Cohen let up, and he kind of went onto his back and let Tara take control. But I mean, if she didn't say that, I mean, who knows? I mean, Agent Cohen might have just like raped her then and there. We don't know. I think she kind of talked herself out of that. So then she's like, you know, caressing him and kissing him and making him feel relaxed, making him feel loved. But he's left his gun on the drawer, so she quickly grabs over, reaches his gun and shoots him in the chest or shoots him in the stomach. He then like rolls off the bed and calls her a stupid bitch, and he's like, you know, I need an ambulance, I'm going to bleed out. But she doesn't seem to care. She picks up a phone and she calls someone, but apparently Agent Cohen thinks there's an ambulance that's on the way. It's not an ambulance that's on the way, it's a motorbike, and it's Jax Teller, and Agent Cohen is pretty much fucked here. Jax arrives, and Tara's like freaking out. She said she didn't have anything to do, she didn't know what to do. He was there, he ambushed her. She pretty much says, look, she had to shoot him, she had no choice. Jax goes in, looks at Agent Cohen, and Agent Cohen is then like, you know, you've called Jax. Agent Cohen kind of like laughs here. He's like, fuck's sake, I need an ambulance, but Jax has arrived instead. Tara then is like, what we're going to do? She thinks she's going to get in trouble. Jax tells her, look, don't worry, it was self-defense, you ain't going to get in trouble. He's going to go away for a while, he's going to do a couple of years, and then he's going to be free to do this again. Tara starts crying. She tells Jax that she can't do this again, and that she can't handle this, she can't live this way. And that kind of seems to piss Jax off. And then we hear Cohen like screaming from the bedroom. He shouts, you know, once a biker slut, always a biker slut. And before he can even like finish his sentence, Jax just like walks over, pulls the trigger, kills him stone cold dead. Like legit murder, just walks over and bang, shoots Agent Cohen in the head, killing him. Tara screams. Jax is kind of like just standing there, you know, proud of his work, I guess. Then Jax sits on the bed. Tara joins him, she's crying, they kind of fall into each other's arms, and then it's like really fucking weird. The two of them, they start to get undressed, they start having fucking sex in the bed while Agent Cohen is like literally laying about 3 feet away from the bed, and he's fucking, his head's like rolled into, well not rolled, but I mean he's kind of like lying half in the bedroom, but his head's like half in the bathroom, and you just see all the blood come out his head where the bullet hole is, and it just like spreads across the bathroom floor. And there's this song in the background playing, Can't Get Used to Losing You. And it was kind of weird because Agent Cohen brought this like playlist in, but it was like every single song on the playlist was the same song, Can't Get Used to Losing You. So it's almost like Agent Cohen was, I don't know, trying to train his brain into thinking he can't lose Tara because he couldn't get used to losing her. Maybe he didn't want to lose her, we don't know. But then this song continues playing, and then we get like a montage. We see what the rest of the club's doing. We see Chibs taking bullets out of Cameron Hayes' ass. We see Abel in his wee cot or whatever, his wee baby bed. We see Gemma and Clay at home, and then we cut back to Tara's house, and we continue to see Tara and Jax fuck in the bed while Agent Cone's just dead, just literally laying there dead while his iPod's playing. Andy Williams can't get used to using you, and then that's pretty much how the episode ends. We get the Sons of Anarchy logo, it fades out, and yeah, that's it. That is the end of Agent Cone, and I guess now you could say maybe it's the start of a relationship between Tara and Jax. But I thought this was a big episode. It basically kind of greenlit a new Mayans Sons war. We had Darby basically ordering a hit on Clay. Darby almost got took out himself. We had an IRA member get killed. We had a new IRA member debut. We had Tara almost get raped pretty much, and then we had Jax come and kill Agent Cone, like legit just murder him. So I mean, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. It was a pretty big episode, and there was, like I said, always something interesting. There was lots of different things happening. It wasn't just like club related. We had IRA stuff, with Nords, with Mayans, with Tara, with Abel getting out of the hospital. We had the whole money thing where they're trying to get money off people. I thought this was a really good episode. I enjoyed this episode. It was probably one of the best episodes I think in a while, and I'm going to give it an... What am I going to give it? I'm going to give this episode I think an 8 out of 10. I am going to give it an 8 out of 10 because, like I said, I thought it was good. I've no complaints. Yep, 8 out of 10 for me. That's what it's getting. As for the quote of the episode, normally by the time we get to this section of this video, you've got like 3 or 4 great lines from Clay to choose from. However, I felt like Clay's funny lines, his witty remarks, they weren't really in this episode, and I think that can partly be down to the fact that it was a pretty serious episode for Clay. You know, he went to the IRA meeting to have the sit down. He found out a guy that he's done business with for a long time is dead, but then before he knows it, he gets pretty much, you know, shot up by Mayans. They tried to assassinate him. They also had the worry of trying to get money, and then you have Clay and Jax. They basically get into an argument, and Clay doesn't really think that Jax is 100% committed to the club. So yeah, while we normally give Clay the benefit of the doubt here, we normally push Clay, and there's like a lot of Clay stuff that we think is quote of the episode. I felt like it was a lot more serious Clay this time. You know, you didn't really get the funny quotes from the big man, from the president. So therefore, I've decided to go with John Teller. Yes, the deceased John Teller is going to get quote of the episode. As Jax, you know, normally reads his manuscript, normally reads the letters. And there was one particular quote that I really, really enjoyed here. And I think this makes a lot of sense. I read it like 3 or 4 times. And I went, you know what? I think John Teller is spot on here. And that quote was, Einstein said that any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex and more violent, but it takes a touch of genius and lots of courage to move something in the opposite direction. End of quote. So I mean, I think that's great. I'll say it again, quote, Einstein said that any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex and more violent, but it takes a touch of genius and lots of courage to move something in the opposite direction. End of quote. So like basically, if somebody starts a movement, like anyone can just kind of take over that and keep the ball rolling, but it takes like a real genius to completely like change things around and, you know, like start fresh and go completely in a new direction. And to me, yeah, I love that quote. I think that's great. So for me, that is going to be quote of the episode. And as for MVP, going to give it to Jax Teller. I felt like this was a very heavy Jax Teller episode. I felt like Jax was in a lot of the episode, which normally he's the main character, but I think this one in particular focused on Jax. At the start, we had him trying to get the money. We then seen him interact with his son. You know, he had the arguments with Clay and Tig, and then at the end, he obviously saves Tara and kills Agent Cone. So I think in this episode, we've seen Jax express quite a lot of different emotions, and he was going through a lot of different things. Also, really enjoyed his meeting with Unser when he was trying to sell Unser the gas, and he's trying to make Unser, you know, sound like a great deal, but in reality, Unser's like, you know, half the pay, double the risk, but Jax was making it sound like a good deal, and you'd think he was talking to a gangster here and not a cop, you know, not the top man of Charming. So yeah, for me, I'm going to give this to Jax Teller. He is the MVP of the episode, guys, and that is it. Season 1, Episode 8, The Pool. So Jax Teller gets the MVP, John Teller gets the quote, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. So that's my rating. Let me know what you thought down below. We'll be back throughout the week with more theory vids. We'll be putting polls up, then we'll be making vids on the results of those polls, and of course if you comment in any of those polls, your comment will be featured in the video and we will discuss your comments. So make sure you get posting, make sure you get interacting, and we'll catch you in the next one. So like I said, vids throughout the week, but until we get more reviews, that'll be next Monday and Tuesday. Moral Mondays and Teller Tuesdays. Anyway guys, that's it. Till next time, catch you later on Fog Entertainment. Peace.